Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Okay.
Morning.
Again, I would like to start with a short mindful breathing exercise. Make yourself as comfortable as possible and keep your back straight. That helps to be more alert. And feel your weight of the body on the cushions, on the chair. And just watch your breath mindfully for a few moments. And once your mind is settled down and quiet, then we can reflect and contemplate that just as we want happiness and do not want suffering, even the smallest one. In the same way, each and every sentient beings, like ourselves, wish to be happy and do not want pain and suffering. We all are same and equal in on that level. There is no difference on that fundamental level. And not only we have right to be happy and not to suffer, each and every sentient being has equally right to be happy and not to suffer, just like ourselves. Therefore, I should think of reducing or overcoming the suffering of not just myself, but all sentient beings. And I must think of achieving happiness, not just my happiness, but happiness of all sentient beings. And in order to relieve all sentient beings from all their suffering and lead them to ultimate happiness, I must obtain my highest potential, a fully awakened state, as soon as possible. And in order to achieve the fully awakened state, I must engage in the Bodhisattva path and to engage in that both of the path. Need to cultivate true love, compassion, both to the mind, and engage in both of the practice, such as six paramitas. And for that, I need to correctly and continuously need to train my mind. I engage in meditation, contemplation practice. And for that, I need to be reminded of the practice and continue to learn about the practices. For that very purpose, I'm going to listen and not only listen, but if I find anything helpful, beneficial, I will try to integrate into my everyday life and practice as much as possible. Okay, so we go to the page number 34. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all. May all sentient beings have happiness and causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. I present clouds every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated in ridiculous time and rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. These remain until the end of sacred existence and return the will of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of others to the great enlightenment. 사십백기 조심해도 담아래라 맹세 이제 내 연파에 사십도 mi te do wa mai do namo da shin no shin oram sho e nam guru rana mandala kaniyataya. Again, good morning, everyone, and again, welcome. Um, so we started this particular text on Lojong or mind training, the advances of mind training with yesterday. And yesterday we discussed and talked about the first three verses. And in first verse, training your mind to see all sentient beings as very precious and very dear. And they are more precious by seeing more precious, and even the legendary wish fulfilling jewels, and through such training, when you are able to feel the preciousness of the other beings, the dearness of the other beings, then it helps us to communicate in much more better way. Even when we have differences, we will be able to communicate much, much more healthy and more with respect and without hurting each other so much. Your interaction will be much more gentle and much respectful and much better. Um, and also, as we discussed yesterday, it helps to feel or develop loving kindness and compassion more easily. So we talk that, and then second verses, you're training the mind by seeing, you know, others beings as more superior, better, and you know yourself as less. And by training in that way, it helps to reduce our ego, our sense of arrogance. And the ego and sense of arrogance is a cause of suffering and problem for ourselves. It's a cause of our spiritual growth. Um, it's cause of obstacles, not for the obstacle for our spiritual growth. And therefore we need to reduce and overcome them. Also the arrogance and the ego, not only hurt and harm us, but it also, when we have that strong of that, then due to that, we also tend to hurt and harm others more. And therefore, training the mind, especially the bodhisattva practice, is reducing and crushing that ego and the arrogance, the self-important pride. Mhm. And as we talk about yesterday, it is not self-degrading when you train that. Do you get it? It's not self-degrading. The whole practice is not for that. But while you have self-confidence, at the same time, you have a very high respect and regard for others by seeing they are superior in many other areas in oneself. We might, while you have self-respect, self-confidence in whatever your ability, capacity, yourself, at the same time having even more higher regard and respect to others by seeing they have many other qualities and virtues and that are better than yourself, superior than yourself. On the basis of that, then we try to train our mind to develop sense of respect to others and sense of high regard to them and practicing humility and humbleness. Um, and again, the humility, humbleness is positive qualities that will help us to be more grounded. You know, it will help us to be more grounded. Um, and also it helps us, you know, um, when someone is really humble and have the humility qualities or the practice, you know, um, they treat others much better. They treat others much better. They don't treat others, you know, by putting them in somehow down in terms of their actions, in terms of their speech, in terms of their attitude. Sometimes maybe we might don't say anything that is kind of putting other down because it looks bad. We might not act physically something to put down others because you could get in trouble for that and it looks bad. But sometimes we might have that attitude which other cannot see, but sense of attitude of looking down on others in somehow. So but when you are through such practice and when you develop practice of humbleness, humility, you don't have even that kind of attitude, um, because you regard that person's high and have a respect for that person's. Even though you might not agree with everything they do or everything they think, but you know, based on certain other qualities, then you develop the respect and high regards. And so therefore, it helps you again, that it helps for your spiritual growth. Um, it helps to keep your mind more calm, peaceful. It helps you to be more grounded, and also you harm others less, you hurt others less. Um, we create less damage and less pain to others. Um, so, so that is the second training of the second verse. And third verse is that we discuss a training the mind to be mindful and alert or vigilant all the times. You know, training your to be mindful and vigilant of your thoughts, your speech, and your action all the time, so that we don't engage into something harmful, something unwholesome, something unhealthy, something that is harmful to others, harmful to yourself, harmful to both. You know. So that the moment we through any of the three door, body, speech, and mind, the moment it seems like we are engaging into something unhealthy, unwholesome, harmful actions, immediately with your mindfulness and vigilant mind, you are able to catch it up and you stop from doing that. Then you are able to stop from doing that before because you are aware of that. When you are not mindful and we don't have vigilant and mindful, then sometimes we have engaged into something harmful, unhealthy, unwholesome actions through any of the doors. And we are not even aware of that. We're not even aware of that, what we are doing, what we are saying, how we are physically, how we are responding, what kind of thoughts going on. We are not even aware. By the time we are aware, we have messed up everything. Mm. The damage is already done and it almost becomes irreversible. The hurt, the harm is already done. But if we have catch up earlier, maybe we could have been able to stop from doing the harmful, the damage, you know, or we could be able to, you know, stop the damage, the harm to minimum level. Mm. And so, you know, we 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 started to say something harsh words, let's say, or or started to say something not truth, you know. And then with your mindfulness, while you are in process of saying something which is not truth, your mindfulness is able to catch up that, oh, I'm saying something is not true. Then you can try to present in a way that is more truthful. So you can stop from not being truthful in your speech because you are able to catch it while you are in process of doing that. And so then you can kind of, you might be say, oh, that is not exactly how it is, you know, is that what is. So we might, you know, even you are in process of that, we can change it. You know, you are in the process of being using a harsh speech or divisive speech. And then, you know, in that moment, with your mindfulness, you are able to watch that or catch up that and then realize, oh, this is harsh, this harmful, harsh speech, you know, or this is divisive speech. And then maybe again, you know, I'm sorry, that wasn't what I mean, you know. And then again, we could change it. So, um, and so in that way, and then as I mentioned before, when your practice of mindfulness is very strong, as we practice, when your practice or your mindfulness and vigilance become very strong, even before you say something harsh words, divisive speech, even before you use a untrue speech, even when you're thought of saying something, you you are able to be aware of that. Oh, you can even stop. Even before you said, you are able to watch because a lot of time those speech, our action come to our mind, thoughts, you know. So you are able to be aware of that thought. So you are able to stop from even starting any of those harmful speeches. And same with actions, you know, physical behavior or actions, any harmful physical behavior actions. Mm. And not only that, also with the thought, you know, as we discussed yesterday, when you have strong mindfulness, practice and vigilant, when you have thoughts, negative thoughts, unhealthy thoughts, distractive, um, disturbing negative thoughts, feelings, emotions, when you are able to catch it up with your mindfulness, then by applying whatever practice meditation to reduce that negative thoughts and not give fuel to that, continue to give fuel to that negative thoughts so that it become too intense, too strong, and that lasts for a long time. Instead, you will be able to kind of let it go quickly and without continue to give fuel to that negative thoughts, you know, whatever that might be, you know. Sometimes negative thoughts arises and then we don't stop and then we started to give fuel to it by giving continue to have so many others thoughts that lead to that negative feeling to become stronger and stronger in terms of hatred and anger, you know. First, due to something, anger and hatred arise. And then we start getting feeling, how bad that is, how horrible that is. And this is what he did this. And not only this time, he did last time. Or not only that, the last week. Or maybe that's why he said that. Or maybe that's why he did that. So you making your, now you start to make a lot of stories in your mind with different thoughts. Even something that he or she did something before, now you started to in your mind, you started, or even that one was maybe not the true, or even that one's, and then what he or she might do in the futures, and so all these different thoughts give the fuel that the feeling of anger, hatred, and it become more intense, more strong. And that would be the same when you have strong desires to something, a desire for something, attachments. The feeling of attachment arises, but if you don't give fuel to that with other thoughts, then again it will not be so strong and intense and it doesn't continue. But then you see something, some object, and you have the attachment arises, and then that's so nice, that is so good, that is what I need. If I have this one, it will make my life easier, or it will make my life more convenient, or it will make my life more happier, or it will make me impressed with others or other people. So again, all those different thoughts are the one that fuels that attachment and to make that attachment more stronger and intense and same even when you have something like depression, same things. You might feel bad for a moment about something or about yourself or something that didn't go well or something that didn't turn out well and you started to, you know, feel bad about yourself, lose trust, whatever, confidence. And then again, it's a moment. Then on top of that, then again, we give fuel to that. Oh, how horrible I am. I did this and that, or I'm incapable of this and that. I couldn't do this and that. Or, and then all these different thoughts, fuel of those different thoughts make stronger and stronger, intense. And then, it becomes very intense and very strong. Depressions. It doesn't start with very strong. It starts with a very small, very light. And if you don't continue to give those fuel, it wouldn't be so intense and so bad. And then a lot of time we are giving all this fuel with all different thoughts, but we are not even aware of that. You know, if we are mindful of that, we can stop all these thoughts. You know, and if you don't give them, and then just with the physical actions and verbal, if you're mindful, if your practice of mindfulness and vigilant very strong, then as we mentioned yesterday, you don't even have to have those disturbing negative arisings. You can be able to catch up before even they arise. want to be able to catch up even before they arrive. And so therefore important of being mindful and vigilant all the time. Not only just on cushions, while you are driving, if you are more mindful, vigilant, you will have less accident or make less mistake, you know. While you are walking, if you are more mindful, vigilant, you will be able to do your job better. We make mistake when we are distracted while you are trying to do something. While you are trying to do something, while you are trying to work with something, your mind get distracted because we don't have strong mindfulness, vigilant, and then we make mistakes. So everything's while we are cooking, while we are washing, while we are cleaning, while we are driving, while we are talking with yourself, talking with others, while you're doing practice, you know, everything 24 hours, whatever we do, if we are more mindful, if we try to bring more mindful, vigilant in your practice, in 24 hours what you do, then it become, you know, it is more helpful. It helps you and from making more mistake. It helps you to from it helps you stop not making mistake. It helps you to stop from making more mistakes, engage in unwholesome, stop from engaging more unwholesome, um, you know, um, unbeneficial actions, and it helps you to, you know, um, direct you to engage into more wholesome thoughts, more wholesome speech, more wholesome behavior, you know. Um, yeah. So I think that is more or less um, third verse is kind of training in relation to that. Yeah, I think as you see, the verses what we're going through is in I think 161. Yeah.
It starts on and I think we're at the fourth, so it's 162.
Two. Yeah. So verse number 4 is training your mind to cherish, other beings as you will treasure the precious treasure. Will cherish the precious treasure. If you have something precious treasure, you will cherish it very much. You know, in same way, then training your mind to cherish, you know, like a treasure, even for those, you know, who makes either your life or the life of your family, friends, or others difficult. Cherishing them, just like you cherish treasure. Training to do that. Also, training your mind to cherish those who are in most vulnerable instead of kind of neglecting, ignoring. Um, you know, um, so yeah. So here it says, whenever I see beings who are wicked in nature and overwhelmed by the violent negative actions, so that is one. And then others, who are suffering, who are most vulnerable ones, Um, I shall hold such rare ones dear as if I found a precious treasure. Mm. Why we cherish the treasure? Because it helps us with that treasure of um through that treasures, it supports and helps you in different ways, you know, to have the wealth from that treasure so that you can support yourself, you know, and that you can support others. Through that, you are able to take care of yourself with the help of that treasure, and you are able to help others through the support of that treasure. In the same way, here it's saying we're trained when we see someone's individuals or group of individuals, you know, organizations that is, you know, um, with such individuals. So who are violent, aggressive, cruel, mean, you know, whether they are cruel, mean, aggressive, violent, it could be for different reasons, you know. For some, it could be their upbringings, you know, influenced by their societies or how they grow up, in what kind of environment they grow up, in what kind of environment they're brought up that can influence them. And that's the only way they know. They don't know other way. We are lucky that we have better environment to grow up. If we also grow up in certain environment, such a violent environment, in certain, we might just become violent like that person as well. We might have difficulty of having a compassion because sometimes people grow up without feeling any love and compassion from others. So they don't know what that feeling is. Sometimes they don't have even what compassion and the sense of compassion, loving is alien to them. They don't know how it feels to be loved, how it feels to be compassion, because they didn't grow up getting that love and compassion. They didn't experience that. Sometimes we feel everyone's experience, but that's not the case, not the same. You know. And so they might have the very different, you know, um, they will have much more difficult to connect with those emotions, understand that, and act with that emotions, you know. So sometimes, certain individuals become such violent, aggressive, cruel, mean because of their upbringing, um, because of their environment, you know, and they don't have the tools, means how to control them, you know. So then, and then some individuals, even they grow up in a better environment, but somehow by nature they are more aggressive, cruel, and mean because of a strong imprint from the past. You know, maybe they might not be influenced by immediate this time of environment upbringing, but still there is so much strong imprint from the past. There is so much strong imprint from the past. That even they are surrounded by loving and compassion people, still they become more aggressive and cruel and mean, um, and that is because of very strong imprint from the past. You know, because of that. So different people end up becoming violent, aggressive due to different. Some of them both internal and external conditions. Some of them the internal condition from the past imprint. You know, sometimes more influenced by more immediate cause conditions, environment. Some of them influenced by both imprint and immediate environment. Some of them mostly from the past, strong imprint. And then, when we see such individuals or group of individuals, it, it disturb our minds. It upset our minds. It anger us. And not only anger, then when you don't treat with that, then it becomes hatred. Even worse. And by cultivating such kind of frustrations, anger, and hatred, it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help the other person or the society that we live in. It doesn't help. Even your anger or hatred is based on for good cause. Because you see someone bullying someone. Because you see someone bullying someone who is most vulnerable, who doesn't have protections, support, and someone who is very strong, powerful, bullying that, and you feel upset and angry with that. Even though there is, in a way, it's a good cause because you see someone powerful bullying someone who is powerless, vulnerable. But again, by that anger, does that solve the problem? Does it stop that person from bullying or not? You know, does it help you? It doesn't help you. It didn't solve the problems. Is it good in the society that we live in? No. When there's anger, there's always danger of exploding at any time. When there's anger and hatred, there's a danger of exploding time anytime. And when and then create so much pain and sufferings, for so many other beings. In the moment of anger, when someone gets so upset and angry, and when they decided to take the life of someone, it doesn't solve the problems. But so many people are hurt. Not just one person, their families, friends, everyone's, and all others, family or families, friends or friends. So many people are upset, angry, and then you create more anger in that anger by taking someone's life. It creates hundreds and thousands of people more anger, upset, and who are angry and upset with my families, my friends, my supporters. So it doesn't help. It didn't help anything. It destroy your peace, inner peace, by having that anger. You lose your um your inner peace, calmness, joyfulness, you know. It destroy the good side of your human beings, destroy your kindness, compassions, because you cannot feel kind and compassion anymore for that person because of your anger, you know. Um, because of that, we cannot, you know, progress in our spiritual path, to further spiritual path, to be able to feel true love, compassion, bodhicitta, and so forth. And no, it no, even it even it doesn't help you. Even it doesn't help you. Even it is destroying you, destroying your inner peace, destroying your virtues. Even is bad for if it help the situation, at least maybe you can say there is some reasons. It doesn't solve the problem. With your anger and hatred, it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't. I can be upset and angry in my room whole day, weeks, days, weeks, months, years. That doesn't stop whoever is bullying someone from bullying again, continue to bully if they want to. That doesn't stop that. How I feel it doesn't stop that, you know. So it doesn't change the situation because of my anger, because of my hatred. It doesn't change the situations or stop that person from being aggressive, bullying, mean, cruel. Just because I'm angry, because I'm upset, that person will stop being cruel and mean. No, that person doesn't stop from being cruel and mean, upset because I'm angry, because I'm hateful. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It doesn't change. And so therefore, there's nothing benefit in. No benefit for yourself, no benefit for others, no benefit for the society, nothing. It's only harmful for yourself, harmful for the society and everything. So therefore, sometimes we think, are we right to get angry? Yes, there is, maybe you have reason and right to be angry. But more than that, is it helpful? That is the question we have to ask. It's not about it, whether it is a right to be right to get angry. Yes, you have right to get angry. You have reason to get angry because someone such powerful is bullying someone and treating badly and being mean and inflicting so much pain and sufferings. But by getting angry, is this helpful? Is this the solution to the problem? Is that the solution to the problem? If it is not, if it doesn't solve the problem, it is not solution to the problem, then what is the point of it? Because it's not beneficial, it's harmful. It's not beneficial, it's not beneficial, but harmful. And it's not only harmful for yourself, it's harmful for the society itself. Then we get full of people who are angry people. Angry society. And what do you expect from angry society? My anger is directly that person anger is directed to me, and whole is almost angry. And that is what the society become divisive and violent and fragile, all that when there's so much anger. When there's so much anger directed to each other. It doesn't solve the problem. It only makes things worse. It only makes the society worse. It only makes, um, it doesn't make the society better. Even you have a right to be angry and a reason to be angry, but it's not helpful, beneficial. And so therefore, um, and so that is, and so, instead of the teachings the Buddha gave and all this lojong practice is instead of angry and upset with such individual with their such actions and behavior, how can we learn to be more patient and engage in practice of patience? Again, I want to make clear from the very beginning, patient doesn't mean we are okay with what they do. Patient doesn't mean we are okay with their bullying. Patient doesn't mean we are okay with their harmful and um, hurtful and painful treatment of others, whether yourself or your family, friends, or any other beings, and especially the vulnerable ones. And so, patient doesn't mean that. Patient means your mind is not angry, upset, and disturbed by that behavior and actions. You know, or that person's attitude. Your mind is able to keep your mind calm, peaceful, without being disturbed. Without being disturbed and without agitating your mind, without having bad feeling, negative feeling towards that person's. When you don't have negative feeling, bad feeling to someone who engages in such action, it doesn't mean you agree with that person's behavior and actions. It doesn't mean you are okay with that person's actions and behavior. It's only state of minds. You totally can disagree, and not only disagree, you should take actions to stop such harm, damage done, but without feeling negative towards that person. And that is all. The training is all about that. Training is all about that. You know. Mm. So in these cases, then to practice patience in such, you know, and not to get upset and angry with that, you have to look that action from different perspective. If you just look from one side, then you cannot stop anger and hatred or negative feelings. And so therefore here, the way he has seen here is by seeing such individuals or group of individuals, they're such with their such views, attitude, behavior, actions, you know, is harmful action, hurtful actions. But at the same time, by seeing, you know, they are giving me great opportunity to practice the patience, to practice the Dharma, and for my spiritual growth. So in that way, it is great support for your practice. It's a great opportunity for your practice. Someone is giving you opportunity. Someone's giving you the support for your practice. And through that understanding, you appreciate that. On one side, it is harmful, painful, and we have to stop that action. On other, because of that, it really help us to really practice, to put into practice everything that we learn, we study about patience, forgiving, compassion. Is saying, it's time that you put into practice. And only by putting into practice that you can progress, that you can develop. If you don't practice, there's no way we can develop and progress. And this is the time. This is the time to put into practice. This is the time, this is the opportunity to put into practice. When everything is nice, good, when everything is kind, compassion each others, you don't need to practice patience. There's no opportunity to practice patience. The condition are not supportive for your practice of patience. And if you don't have the opportunity, if they are not supportive for your practice of patience, then how are you going to practice? How are you going to perfect and complete those practices? And without perfecting and completing those practices, there's no way to progress on both sort of path and achieve enlightenment and to be source of greatest help and benefit to all sentient beings. And so in that way, they are helping by providing the opportunity and support of our practice, such as patience, and by using that opportunity, by taking the opportunity, you are provided that opportunity and you make use of that opportunity. And when you make use of that opportunity really to put into practice now, then they become support for your practice. And then through that, you are able to develop patience and complete and perfect those patience, practice of patience. And having developed that practice patience now, then in the future, no matter what happens, you will be able to deal with much better because you have perfected and completed the practice of patience. Nothing can make you upset and angry, disturb your mind, agitate your mind. So therefore, they are supporting and helping to develop that kind of tools that you develop. And then in the future, no matter what happens, whatever situations, you can keep your mind undisturbed, unagitated, calm, peaceful. And also, as I mentioned, then it also support you to program both sort of path and then achieve enlightenment and then become source of happiness for all sentient beings. So therefore, by seeing that, when you look from this perspective, from Dharma perspective, in terms of your spiritual growth, in terms of your practice of patience, when you look from that perspective, then you appreciate that for giving that opportunity, being that support for that practice. And then from that perspective, it becomes like treasure. It's a treasure for the Dharma, true Dharma practitioner. For true Dharma practitioner, then it becomes a treasure. And therefore you cherish them instead of getting upset and angry. Instead of getting upset and angry, then you cherish them for giving that support for my Dharma practice, for giving opportunity for my Dharma practice, especially the practice of patience. Also, we cherish them by seeing they're helping to me to evaluate where I am in terms of spiritual practice, in terms of spiritual progress. Sometimes when there is no one to bother us, everyone nice, kind, we think, oh, I'm doing quite well. We might feel like my practice is quite well. I don't get disturbed. I don't get agitated. I don't get upset. And oh, I must be doing quite well. I must be making some progress, which might be deceiving ourselves. And we feel that we are not upset and angry because there was no one who is doing that. And then with such person and such individual, and then we realize, oh no, we have all these emotions arising, and we realize, I need to practice. I need to put more practice. There's still a long way to go. There's still a long way to go, you know. And that it remind us, where we are and where we need to, and what we need to do, that we need to put into the practice, So again, it helped us to, in that way. And so again, when you see someone helping you to evaluate and understand where you are, we pay money for people to evaluate, isn't it? In different things. Sometimes we don't know how we are doing, and we cannot evaluate ourselves. And we take the help of others by paying them to evaluate what I'm doing is right or wrong, what I'm doing is correct or not, in different fields. In Dharma, so this person is helping us to evaluate that, and you pay because you cherish someone's opinion in evaluating where you are and how you are doing. And so here, again, that is helping us to evaluate ourselves in terms of where our practice is and where we need to work more on. And so through that, then that's where we learn to cherish. That's where for such practitioner, for such true practitioner who really apply those in the practice, then for them, they can really cherish such individuals. They can really cherish. When they cherish and see like treasure, but while they cherish, it doesn't mean they are okay with their harmful actions. Do you get it? As His own Dalai Lama says, and that is where that is whole Lojong practice. What happened in Tibet in 1959 during the evolution revolutions. So much people were killed, and so much damage is done that he had to escape, become a refugee, stateless. So that's truth that cannot be denied. That is truth denied. But at the same time, as His Holiness says, when you think of that, from one hand, he feels sad because so many people had to go through so much pain and suffering. That is a tragedy, painful tragedy. At the same time, as he said, when you think from another perspective, same situation from another perspective, he feels because of that, it gives him more, what do you call, what is the right word? Exposure to the rest of the world. And because he was giving most exposure to the rest of the world, he was able to help benefit more people. If he was remain in Tibet, if that didn't happen, he might be able to help very limited number of people in the Tibet, because people are very isolated, and probably they might have been very isolated to some degree. And because he says, because of that, it gave him exposure to the rest of the world. He was able to meet so many different people from all kinds of different backgrounds, all different spiritual paths. He was able to meet all different spiritual paths that exist. He was able to interact with them, discuss with their different views, spiritual share with each others, to be able to meet with all different kind of background, different people, and he said that helped him for his personal growth as well. He said that it helped him to his personal growth, you know, and with that his personal growth, he's able to reach out and help more people. So one side it is tragedy, but from another side, it was kind of it opened another great opportunity, and by being able to see it that way, then you don't get so angry and upset, you know. You don't get if because it's not all totally dark. You are able to see also some gray and white area. So, when you cannot see the gray and white area, then it is hard not to be angry and upset, if you cannot see any positive something in that. So again, the whole Lojong mind training is all about finding a brightness in the darkness. How to is training your mind to see a brightness in the darkness, to finding a light in the darkness, trying to see something positiveness in all those difficult pain and difficult, painful, challenging situations, um, events, or individuals, and everyone's. And so again, this is one of those training, training. Um, and if we train, it is possible. It's possible, you know. Not only have a patience and not have anger and hatred, but even feel compassion for them. You know, and that is again, as he told the Lama's only advice, and that is he feel even more compassion for those who have created all this pain and suffering, inflated so much pain and suffering. Not only he don't get upset and angry with them, but he feel even more compassion to them than others because of, you know, by understanding, how much negative karma they are creating, you know, and the consequences of such negative karma in the futures, how much ignorant that is, therefore, again, that's why, that and so on, So not only you don't feel angry, but you actually feel compassion. And we all have the same potential. It's all about training. Dalai Lama was not born with that all the time. He reached that point through training the mind. And we can reach that point also with the training our mind. Also, there is often Dalai Lama shared a story of one of the monk who was imprisoned 20 years, and then when he was released, you know, he was able to escape to India and met the Lama, and the Lama said one day they was talking about something very casual talk. And this monk said, while he was in prison for those 20 years, there were a couple of times of danger. He faced a couple of danger during those times. And the Lama said first he thought he was talking about danger to his life in the prison, the torture and everything. So he said, what kind of danger? And the monk said there were a couple of times when he almost lost compassion for those who were torturing him. There were all these 20 years, there were only a couple of times where he almost lost compassion for those who were torturing him. those who are responsible torturing him and others. So that means all these 2 years he was able to hold compassion for those very people who torture him directly and those who are responsible for those things. Again, same thing, he is able to do that because of his training, because he trained his mind through practice. And again, we all have the same potential. It's all about training, training the mind. We have so many stories of like that, not only in, uh, in all, I think in every spiritual path, you know, individuals who are capable of that, to forgive and to feel compassion for even those who mistreated them very badly. There was a couple from Ireland. I think when was that, in 1990 or in the 80s, when there was conflict between in Ireland, conflict between the Protestant and is it Catholic and Protestants, and there was, and during one of those, there was kind of, I don't know, protest or demonstration protest in those, police shot, shotguns to disperse those protests and shot someone, and someone got a blind from that shot. And the person who got blind, you know, he forgive the police who shot him. And not only forgive him, became a good friend, very good friend. So he didn't have a bad feeling. He just forgive him, not only they become a good friend. Imagine that your eye become a blind by someone who shot you. It's not easy. Being blind, how much fear we have being blind, you know, even is one eye blind, in that. And so, I don't know how the Lama met them, but the Lama met them somewhere, and the Lama was also very impressed and very inspired. And he invited them, both policemen and the person who was shot. They came even in our monastery in Sera to share their stories, you know, um, share their stories. So, the Lama invited them and he asked them to go and visit different Tibetan settlements, monasteries, schools, to share that, because it is something, if you practice, if you can forgive and even be a good friend, even for someone who did such a big damage. And those are the inspiring stories that we need to hear more often or see more often. And again, because of that, um, so they came even our monastery in South India and they shared their stories, and they were visiting many others Tibetan schools and monasteries, and that was the Lama encouraged them and invited them to do that. And of course, those are some stories that we hear. There are so many other stories from every different spiritual path. The individuals who are able to not to hold, to give up being, from giving up being angry and hatred, and instead forgiving and um, feeling kind, compassion. And so again, I think it's important for us that if we really put effort and practice, it is possible. We have the potential, same potential. So that is what it means, okay, with that violence. And then with the suffering part, where it says, nature by overwhelmed by the violent negative action, so we talk about, and the suffering. And so that one, here it explained, is about when we see others suffering so much, suffering so much, you know, in so many different ways. Sometimes we tend to ignore them. Sometimes we tend to ignore, neglect them. You know, um, Sometimes we become indifferent to them, as though nothing is happening. You know, we pretend we don't see the pain. We pretend we don't see the suffering. We kind of, as though that didn't exist. You know, and so we tend to kind of ignore them, ignore, neglect. You know, and again here, instead of ignoring them, instead of neglecting them, instead of pretending they do not exist, instead of pretending that there's no pain and suffering out there, you know, instead, and being indifferent, instead we should acknowledge, that there is that pain, there is suffering, have concern for them, have empathy for them, have compassion for them, and then trying to help them in whatever way we can, you know. Sometimes we might be able to help directly. Sometimes we might not be able to help directly, but we can still try to help indirectly. At least we have the empathy and compassion, sense of concern, sense of awareness, and acknowledge that there is a pain, there is a suffering, instead of just kind of pretending there is no pain and suffering and completely walking away and being completely indifferent. So again, that is not the Bodhisattva's attitude. And someone who want to engage in the Bodhisattva practice, if someone has inclination and someone have interest and someone want to engage in such practice, then we should practice not to ignore, not to neglect, not to be indifferent, um, not to pretend that they are not there, but instead being aware of that, acknowledging, being aware and having the empathy, concern, and then trying to help and benefit in whatever way we can, Some those which we can directly, we try to help them directly to reduce their pain and suffering, even though we cannot relieve their pains or suffering completely, but at least maybe if there's a way we can help to reduce the pain in certain level, we to try to do that. If we can release completely, of course, and and whatever ways in small, big, doesn't matter, small, big, according to individual situations, circumstances, individuals' resources, individuals' skills, means, but at least, trying to do something, trying to do something, trying to contribute something, you know, at least on minimal level, having the compassion, sense of concern, empathy, and compassion, you know. If you have the compassion and the concern, then even you don't have the means to help them, when you do get any means to help, you will be able to help them. If you don't have compassion, even if you get all the means to help them, you will not help them, because you don't have the compassion to do anything. But if you keep your compassion alive, even if you cannot help them because you don't have means to help them, but when you do get any means to help them, you will definitely help them. You will definitely reach out them. You will definitely try to do something. So therefore, we have to keep the fire of our compassion alive, regardless whether we have the means to help or not help. Some people have more means to help. Some people are less means to help. Some people are more skilled to help. Some people are less skilled to help in terms of their means skills. But regardless of that, try to keep the fire of the compassion, loving kindness, empathy alive all the time. And so instead of trying to ignore them, when you try to ignore them, then you are trying to kind of blow up the fire of compassion, Instead, you try to lift them up. And so that is the practice here, describing about that. Yeah. Okay. Shandeva explained about a way of life. We should hold such beings as a rare, like a treasure. Treasure is rare, isn't it? Garbage, stones, all this, plenty. The treasure is very rare. In the same way, people who make our life more difficult or with such violent and aggressive behavior and actions and that, they are few and rare. And again, if we look in the world, it is rare. It is more rare. Even though we feel like the whole world is filled with all these kind of people, if you know individually, it's not that rare. There are more people who are more kind, compassion, more concern, more caring. The problem is that when we have one bad individuals, they get all the what you call highlights
Mhm.
in news everywhere, and then it feel like when you hear few individuals, it feel like everyone is like that because you are hearing that every day, weeks, months, years. Someone hurt someone, okay? That become a news for days, weeks, months. Someone helps someone. Does that become a news? It doesn't become a news at all. Someone saved 100 people. Even that, a lot of time doesn't become a news. Every day, how many people are helping each other? Every day, how many people are helping each other? Does that become a news? It doesn't become a news. We don't know about that. We don't know who is helping who there, but every day there's thousands, 100,000 people helping each other. So we don't hear about those things. But if someone hurt someone, harm someone, we will hear that. It will become a big news. And so because of that, then in our brain, we feel like people are bad or people are negative, and you know and that is because of mainly of the all the news that we get. And I think that has some. And so anyway, Shandeva says, people who harm you or your friends, families, and others are, very few and rare. Therefore, you have very few and rare opportunity to practice the Dharma, and especially the patience. And again, from that perspective, it's like a rare treasure, and we should train to see them as a rare treasure, and not allow ourselves to be upset, angry, and instead practice the patience and, if possible, loving kindness and compassion on top of that. Oh. Mm. Similarly, here, in the 37 practice of bodhisattvas, it says, for a bodhisattva who desire the joys of virtues, all harm, all who harm him are like a precious treasure. Therefore, to cultivate patience towards all without resentment is the practice of bodhisattvas. Very similar to this, that those who are interest, inclinations in the bodhisattva practice, bodhisattva path, then even for those who try to hurt, harm you, your family, friends, or anyone, instead of cultivating anger, resentment, hatred, instead, we try to practice patience, and learning to be patience. And by engaging with patience, um, it helps you, it helps the others, it helps the society, everyone. Hmm? So not allowing, the main thing is not allowing sense of aversions or anger or hateful feeling to arise when you see and when you encounter such individuals, such harmful actions. The main thing is not allowing yourself to be disturbed and agitated by such, ill will feeling, anger, and aversion, and so forth. Also, in Pension, in the Lama Chopa, Pension Lama says, should even all the beings of three realms, without exception, become angry at me, humiliate, criticize, threatening, or even kill me, I seek your blessing not to be agitated, but to complete the perfection of patience that work for their benefit in response to their harm. Again, these all these different teachers in different scriptures by different authors, practitioners, again, advice are the same. The advice the same, you know. If we practice the patience, we gain. If we allow ourselves to be angry, we lose. If we practice the patience, we are able to keep our mind calm, peaceful, and joyful. If we allow our mind to be angry, then we experience disturbance, agitations, and pain and sufferings. And then negative karma and positive karma is created with the patience. We create positive karma as a consequences. Also in the future, we experience happiness, happy environment. On the other hand, when anger arises, not only it disturbs our mind at the moment, but also it creates negative karma. Um, and then as a consequence of that, again, we experience suffering in the future and create environment to get harm ourselves, And then also in terms of destroying the virtues, anger is one of the worst afflictive emotion that can destroy our virtues that we have created with so much effort, And so therefore with that understanding, making all the effort, you know, to practice patience and not to allow the anger to arise and overtake us. And so that is the mm. So any questions, comments, questions this morning, this verse?
I would be
Yes, please.
interested to hear your thoughts on when a Buddhist feels compassion for those who suffer at the hands of a bully, how one might be active in protecting and maybe even fighting in a nonviolent way.
Mm-hmm. Yes. In the Bodhisattva's practice, and even the Bodhisattva vows, in Buddhist Bodhisattva vows and even Bodhisattva practice, they say when someone in such situation and when you have the power to stop and power to fight back non-violently, but if you don't do, then you are breaking the vows. So therefore, not only encourage, you should do that. And so therefore, the only difference is that in such cases, you should have compassion for the victim as well as the bully, the perpetrator. That is the case. And so in Buddhism, the important I mentioned yesterday a little bit about differentiating person and the actions. The person and person's actions. As I was mentioning, the Aryadeva in 400 verses, he says the Buddha taught, differentiate the person and person's actions, and you should have compassion with the persons. And if you are upset, then you should be upset with the person's delusions that make him to act that way, not the person itself. What make that person to bully is that person's afflictive emotions. It could be, any of the afflictive emotions. Sometimes it could be anger, someone bully someone. Sometimes it could be ignorance. Sometimes it could be greediness. Sometimes it could be jealousy. So whatever disturbing negative emotion that might be driving that person to, act in such bully way, so it's because of those afflictive emotions. If the person doesn't have that afflictive emotion, he or she will not act that way. He or she act that way because of those afflicted emotions. So the boss, the leader, the boss, that who is controlling those afflicted emotions. Those afflicted emotions is like a remote control for that person. That person is acting based on those afflicted emotions. And so therefore, one should feel compassion for even that person because he or she has no control of their own mind. Because they have no control of their mind, then one of those afflictive emotions arises, overwhelm them, and on the basis of those one of the afflictive emotion arising, then they inflate, inflate pain and sufferings. So therefore, one should feel compassion for both victim and both the perpetrator, the bully, but at the same time, because such actions is harmful and is harming others and inflicting suffering and pain, so therefore we should take action to stop it. And as we mentioned, if needed, fighting it non-violently, you know. And I think, yeah, so that doesn't goes against the Buddhist concept of compassion, you know. Not only it doesn't go against it, as I mentioned, Bodhisattvas vows, if there is something that we can do to stop the suffering, and then you have to do it. If you don't do, then that is a breaking the vows, going against that, because when you take the vows to to protect all sentient beings, and especially the vulnerable one from their sufferings, and someone is suffering from someone else, and so when you can stop it, if there's a way to stop it, and if you don't do to stop it, then you are not keeping your vows or commitments to protect the suffering sentient beings from the sufferings. You know, of course, whether you are able to protect or not, that would be, but at least you have to try and do your things. You know, yeah. I think the main thing, you know, and if you look in Buddha's own stories, you know, or his stories, you know, he fought for all the marginalized beings. He, you know, at that time in India when the caste system is very strong, even now, you know, even after so many thousands of years, still this system is still caste, you know. And so you can imagine at the Buddha's time, you know, but Buddha fought against them, you know, with the compassion, non-violently, you know. He broke that system, you know, in that he broke the system of caste system where they had higher caste, lower caste, untouchable caste, the lowest one, you know, the other caste they cannot touch. If they touch, they get polluted. They cannot come to their house. They cannot eat together. They cannot drink water together. If they do, then they would be polluting. And so therefore it's kind of segregated, you know, in that way. Um, but Buddha broke all, he come from a high caste, you know, royal families, high caste. He broke all when he, after enlightenment, when, you know, he asked for a alms from someone who is low caste, and they were afraid to give him because, and Buddha made him, you know, not to be afraid, you know, the person was trying to run away because if he touched, he would be polluting. And Buddha slowly broke, he accepted all these low caste in his follower, in his Sangha, you know, which was not possible in any other spiritual path at that time, any other school. He broke all of that. You know, he got criticized and a lot of for that. But he said, in my religions or my spiritual path, there's no caste. He accepted they all are equal. You know, and then the lowest caste, one of the lowest castes, after following him and training and become a highly realized, you know, Buddha sent him to talk to those high classes, higher castes. They have to bow to him and all of that to break all this barrier and all this. And that is one. Also, he fought for marginalized the women. He gives equal ordinations. You know, not only there's ordination for men, there's ordination for women. Not only there's ordination, there's full ordination for both men and women equally. Those are the things. So Buddha's fought up against all this inequality, injustice, and all of that. So therefore, yeah. So you can see from the very founders of this spiritual path, um, but always non-violent, with the compassions, if possible, out of compassions. Yeah. So yeah, that doesn't. So that shouldn't go against. Actually, it is. It should be the practice. Any other questions? Yes,
You mentioned about the news, all the bad thing, negative thing, they show up on the news every day. But good things people do, like a good virtue, it's not much in the news.
Mhm.
So since there are so many news about crime, about criminal activity, violent activity, should we try to avoid reading them? Because I personally feel it's bother our practice
Mhm.
because calm and peace, you don't want to read so many negative things.
Mhm.
But the problem is we don't read it and we do not know what's happening in the world. We have to know it. What's your opinion?
My opinion is you have to keep update with what is happening in the world, but you don't have to go so details. You know, you watch one news is okay, but the problem is the news. They will have repeat that again and with panels, different panels today, tomorrow, and there's nothing more news coverage than what is already covered. But when you hear all of that, all these different panels, different opinions there, weeks, days, and then it sounds like it's happening. But I think as long as we update what is happening in the world general and without needing to go in all of this opinion panelists and all this over and overall, I think that is my opinion. Um, because a lot of time people not only is not that only update the news, but then you listen to all of this, and that is the way it invoke your emotions. It's not only the news and all these panelists, their opinion, and that is where it really make people upset and angry, and disturb their mind with how they present, and they seem to know how to invoke people's emotions, and because they want to hook you on watching them, and that is their part of rating, making money, and all. And so I think, you know, personally, sometimes I just kind of read, what you call
Newspaper.
Headlines.
headlines,
Headline, right.
and
That's
and
it.
if there is something that you interest, you might want to read it more further, and but at least you know what is happening a little bit,
Mhm.
even you don't know all the details, unless you really need to feel like you need to know, In some cases, it might be important to know. Some cases, it's nothing really important except then you know what is happening. You don't need to know all the details. It doesn't make much difference whether you know all the details or not. Um, and anyway, that is my opinion. Like His Holiness Dalai Lama, he doesn't watch. He says he used to watch. He used to listen to BBC. And that is his update. Before, he said he used to listen to BBC while he is having breakfast. So he always listened to the BBC news. Um, I don't know he ever have a TV or not. That part I don't know, but I know he had mentioned he used to listen to the BBC news. That is his kind of update with the rest of the world. And I'm sure the important thing probably his people, advisor, whatever they update him things. But it seems like he doesn't watch uh, TV. Probably he doesn't. And I think in recent time, I think he said he even stopped listening to the BBC news anymore or news anymore. Um,
Mm.
so and so therefore, people were kind of a lot of people were shocked. I think when he didn't know Michael Jackson. I think there was in some of the
That's
one of the teaching or talk he was giving, someone asked about Michael Jackson after he passed away, and after he died, and there was something, and his owner didn't know who he was, um, and so again, as I said, like, um, and yeah, so again, it depends. Yeah. So that is just my opinion. Yeah. Any others? Mm. Yeah, and next is verse number 5. Maybe since I don't want to start now because we are already in kind of almost time. Yeah, we will start that when we come back. Um, and same with even in case of his own Dalai Lama, he's fighting for what he believes in the Tibetan issues in non-violent, non-violent way. So again, of course, now he's politically he have given up leadership quite a while ago,
Yeah.
but until now he's politically not involved anymore. But until he gave up his leadership politically, um, he was fighting for what he believed right for the the Tibet issues, in whatever way he can. Um, and of course, not only the Tibet issue, he has also fight for many other things as well. You know, I can, yeah. And so therefore, I don't think, yeah, um, there's while you have compassion for someone, there's no, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't fight to stop such harmful actions that might have been done or is being done, more which is still being done. And so to stop such harmful actions. And so therefore, yeah, it doesn't go against the Buddhist principle or the practice. Okay. Okay, so then we will have a lunch break, unless if anyone has question. If question, I can take one more.
I don't have one.
Yes, please, Jyoti.
When we're doing some of these practices and trying to develop our compassion for people we're not feeling particularly fond of at the moment, is it is it okay to use to kind of imagine, like we don't really
Mhm.
know, but just imagine, like, because we kind of make up the bad stuff.
Yeah.
So to try to counter that, to just sort of imagine that maybe their childhood was awful, or maybe they do these good things, or
Uh-huh. Yeah, definitely. As you said, I mean, there are there seems to be some information there. Growing was not nice one, There seems to be some, how he was treated by his father and all of that, Probably he never felt love and compassion. Who knows, But it's in some that what I read or something, there is some part. It seems to indicate some part, And I think many people we don't know. Probably there are some like those situations. So, But again, even we don't definitely, we can imagine this. As long as it helps us to not get upset and angry, as long as it helps us to feel compassion, whether it's imagination or whether it's a reality, whatever, those are just a tool. Meditation is just a tool. We visualize, imagine, cleansing, purifying. This is just a tool. Or we do. So whether it's a mindful breathing, mindful meditation, whether it's analytical meditations, whether it's a visualization meditation, whatever different meditation we do, they are just a tool. And so whatever tools help us to not to feel anger, hatred, to let go of anger and hatred, whatever tools help us to feel love and compassion, then we can use them. And I jokingly said, but it is true. If there is a medicine that you can make you feel compassion all the time, I will take it. If it comes, if it's a real, it helps. Why not? Whether it's a what do you call permanent solution, life solution, it's not. Um, unlike like a meditation where you develop, and then once you're developed, then it's there. But even it helps for temporary. If when you are angry and upset, and if there's a pill, you eat it, and then you feel compassion. I can go for it. you know. So the main thing is whatever tools, whatever meditation and practice tools that help us to let go of anger and hatred and to feel compassion, then it's okay. Even we are imagining, and a lot of visualization we do. A lot of things are imaginations. We do imaginations, um, yeah. So it is just fine. It doesn't have to be, exactly fact and reality. If through certain imagination, even we don't know exactly whether that's true or not. But if it helps us to let go of anger and help us to develop compassion, then that is the goal we want to achieve. Doesn't matter what road you take it. Destinations is, destination is that to develop compassion. So which road you take doesn't matter, as long as we reach there, and that is the main point here. Okay. Okay. Chanjo sanjo rembo che ma ke pa na ke kyo che ke wa nya ba me kong le kong tu ke wa. Thank you.
Thank you.